You are standing in a supermarket aisle staring at a wall of cereal boxes. Every single one claims to be natural, wholesome, energy boosting, heart healthy, made with real ingredients, part of a balanced breakfast. You squint at the labels, you compare the prices, you pick one up and put it back. Pick up another, put that one back too. Finally, you grab the one you recognize and drop it in your cart without another thought. That tiny moment captures something profound about how humans make decisions, not just about cereal, about everything. People choose what they know, they trust what feels clear, they ignore what looks confused. This happens in grocery aisles, in app stores, on websites, in showrooms, at job fairs, in pitch meetings. Everywhere humans encounter options, the same pattern repeats. Clarity wins, confusion loses, every single time. This is what branding is really about. Not logos, not color palettes, not taglines or typography or any of the surface elements that most people picture when they hear the word. Branding is about telling people who you are and what you can do for them, quickly, clearly, memorably. Great branding delivers that message in a split second, before the conscious mind even engages, before anyone reads the fine print or compares the specs or thinks it through. A tutoring service that wants to feel friendly and approachable should not give off the vibe of an elite test prep factory. A startup promising simplicity needs a visual identity that actually looks simple. A luxury brand needs to feel luxurious at every touch point, not just the expensive ones. The message and the medium must align. When they do, people trust you. When they do not, something feels off, even if no one can articulate why. If you work anywhere near branding, you already know how messy this process can get. Designers think one thing, leadership wants another. Marketing has their own priorities. The team ends up debating colors and fonts instead of purpose and meaning. Weeks pass, budgets drain, frustration mounts, and the result often feels like a compromise that nobody loves. This is where structure becomes a superpower. A clear process turns branding from guesswork into a practical, repeatable craft. What you are about to learn is a 5-part roadmap that shows how strong identities actually take shape, how research uncovers truth, how strategy builds focus, how design gives ideas a pulse, how touchpoints bring a brand to life, and how good governance protects the whole system over time. Think of it as a companion for anyone who wants to build brands that people remember, trust, and even love. Branding matters more now than ever before. People move fast, attention spans shrink, options multiply. In this environment, snap judgments rule everything. A symbol can express meaning in the time it takes to blink. A color can trigger an emotion before the conscious mind catches up. A font can signal premium or budget, serious or playful, traditional or cutting edge. These impressions form instantly, and they stick. First impressions become lasting impressions. Getting them right is not optional. Research is the moment to slow down. Before shaping what a brand can become, you need to understand what it truly is, what it stands for, what makes it different, what people actually experience when they encounter it. Done well, this phase reduces anxiety for everyone involved. It turns guesswork into clarity. It creates a foundation that makes every subsequent decision easier and more confident. Research begins with curiosity. Think of yourself as part detective, part therapist, part scientist. Your job is to listen, observe, and look for the insights that explain how a brand fits into a person's life. This gold often hides in unexpected places. A customer who lights up when describing a delivery experience might reveal more about the brand's promise than any internal strategy document. An offhand comment from a sales rep might capture the essence better than months of market research. Pay attention to the small moments. They contain the biggest truths. This phase only works when decision makers participate directly. Their involvement keeps the process honest and prevents surprises later. Together, you document what you learn and establish clear protocols for how decisions will be made. A useful starting point is what you might call a touchpoint sweep. Every interaction matters. Every moment a customer encounters your brand leaves an impression. The coffee shop loyalty card, the tech company support chat, the clinic appointment reminder. The packaging the product arrives in, the email confirmation, the hold music. Each touchpoint plays a role in shaping trust. Some build it, some erode it. Most companies have never mapped them all in one place. Creating a customer journey diagram shows where the brand delights people and where it disappoints them. Suddenly, it becomes obvious that every phase of the relationship is an opportunity to deepen loyalty or accidentally destroy it. Next comes the internal audit. Gather everything: logos, taglines, brochures, presentations, packaging, website screenshots, social media posts, even abandoned ideas that never launched. Spread it all out and look closely. Patterns emerge that nobody noticed before. Sometimes a team rediscovers strengths they forgot they had. Sometimes they recognize that the current identity no longer reflects who they want to be. Sometimes they realize their materials send completely contradictory messages. A competitive audit adds another layer of insight. Choose a handful of key rivals and study how they present themselves. Notice what they do well. Notice where they fall short. Notice where everyone in the category looks and sounds the same. This helps you spot where meaningful differentiation is still possible. The gaps in the competitive landscape become opportunities for your brand. Interviews bring the human dimension into focus. Talk with founders, sales teams, service staff, longtime customers, anyone who understands the brand from a particular angle. Ask simple questions. Why do people choose this brand? What problem does it solve? What keeps you awake at night? What do customers complain about most? What do they praise? Then sit back and let people think. Silence is uncomfortable but powerful. The pause after a question often leads to the most revealing insights. The things people say after they have exhausted the obvious answers. Finish by synthesizing everything into a clear format that stakeholders can engage with. Some teams pin everything on walls and walk through it together. Others prefer a booklet they can flip through and annotate. The specific format matters less than the effect it creates. People see their world in one place. They reconnect with their original purpose. They gain confidence about the path ahead. They feel ready to make decisions. After research comes strategy. This is where the pile of notes and interviews and audits transforms into clear direction. The phase where decision-makers commit to one path instead of keeping all options open. The work is demanding. It requires difficult conversations and real choices, but it creates a foundation that makes everything that follows easier and stronger. The heart of strategy is focus. Strong brands behave like focused beams of light. They choose a small set of attributes instead of trying to please everyone. They sacrifice breadth for intensity. They give up some customers to win others more completely. Think of a neighborhood bakery that decides to be known for everyday bread rather than chasing wedding cakes, fancy pastries, and corporate catering. The narrower choice makes the promise easier to deliver and easier to remember. A brand that tries to be everything becomes nothing. A brand that stands for something specific becomes memorable. To reach that focus, teams must define their core attributes and positioning. This means naming the purpose behind the brand, the audience it serves, the benefit it offers, the personality it projects. A fitness app might realize its true purpose is making exercise feel achievable rather than extreme. That insight changes everything. The design team now has a clear tone of voice, a clear emotional goal, a clear benchmark for evaluating every creative decision. Strategy also includes shaping the brand architecture. This is a way of explaining how different products or services relate to one another under one organizational umbrella. A university might separate its lifelong learning courses from its degree programs so each can express a distinct promise without confusing prospective students. A consumer products company might decide which sub-brands share the parent identity and which stand alone. These structural decisions have enormous implications for how the brand system will work in practice. All of this thinking comes together in a brand brief. The brief is a single document that captures the essence of the brand. It lists the purpose, the audience, the personality, the key offerings, the proof points, the values, the value proposition. It may also include early visual cues that hint at the brand's future look and feel, colors that resonate with the positioning, typography that matches the personality, imagery that evokes the right emotional response. The power of the brief comes from simplicity. It forces clarity. It invites honest conversation. Teams often go through multiple versions, debating and refining until everyone genuinely aligns. This brief prevents the classic meeting disaster. You know the one. A designer presents work they labored over for weeks. A stakeholder looks at it and says, "This does not feel like us." Everyone deflates. When the fundamentals have already been agreed upon, design decisions feel grounded instead of random. The subjective becomes somewhat objective. Does this execution deliver on the strategy we already committed to? Sometimes clarifying strategy uncovers forgotten strengths. An old tagline might resurface and suddenly feel relevant again. A neglected product benefit might turn out to be the most compelling differentiator. An origin story that seemed unremarkable might become the emotional anchor. These rediscoveries help teams feel rooted in their own history, even as they shape something new. By the end of this phase, the brand has a clear center of gravity. The team knows what to amplify, what to ignore, how to move forward with confidence. Now the work shifts from defining the promise to giving it physical form. Once strategy is clear, design begins. This phase feels more playful than what came before, more creative, more visual, but it still requires discipline. The starting point is always the brand brief. Designers return to that document again and again because it keeps the creative work honest. The brief acts like a compass, pointing back to purpose, personality, and audience whenever ideas start to drift. With that anchor in place, creative exploration can begin. This is the moment to dream and doodle, to generate ideas without immediately judging them. Rough sketches help you discover concepts you would never reach through analysis alone. Imagine a local bike shop that wants to stand for freedom and accessibility. Early sketches might explore open paths, friendly arrows, simple wheels, movement lines, horizon imagery. Some drawings will be terrible, embarrassing, obviously wrong. Others will spark real energy, a flash of recognition, the feeling that something is starting to work. Both outcomes move the process forward. The bad ideas help clarify what the brand is not. The promising ideas become seeds for further development. At the same time, you must choose which touchpoints matter most. Every brand has dozens of possible applications, but not all of them deserve equal attention. Resources are finite. Focus is essential. A small bakery might concentrate on its storefront sign, its takeaway bags, and its Instagram presence. A fintech startup might prioritize its app icon, onboarding screens, and customer emails. A consulting firm might focus on proposals, presentations, and the website. Picking the right touch points early prevents the design from becoming scattered. It ensures that creative energy goes where it will have the most impact. Iconography usually comes next in the process. Icons guide people through experiences. They communicate quickly without language. When done well, they make a brand feel intelligent and warm, cohesive, thoughtful. Think of a fitness app that uses simple circles and check marks to communicate progress. Those shapes become tiny ambassadors for the brand. They appear everywhere. They feel unmistakably connected to each other. Then comes the broader look and feel. Color sets the emotional tone. It triggers associations before anyone reads a word. Blue for trust, red for energy, green for nature or growth, black for premium. These are simplifications, but the principle holds. Color does emotional work. Typography shapes voice. Serif fonts often feel traditional, established, serious. Sans serif fonts often feel modern, clean, accessible. Script fonts feel personal. Heavy fonts feel bold. Light fonts feel elegant. Texture and imagery add depth. Photography style, illustration approach, use of white space, density of information. All of these elements combine to create a distinctive sensory experience. A tutoring service might choose a calm palette and clean type to project clarity and reduce anxiety. A streetwear brand might lean into bold colors and chunky lettering to signal energy and attitude. What matters most is cohesion across all platforms. A social media post should feel connected to the website, the packaging, and the in-person experience. The brand should be recognizable even when the logo is not visible. When presenting design concepts to stakeholders, focus on business goals rather than personal taste. Instead of debating whether a color is pretty, explain how it helps express reliability or innovation or warmth. Stakeholders respond better when they understand the strategic logic behind creative choices. This is not about manipulating people. It is about helping them evaluate work through the right lens. The question is never whether the design is aesthetically pleasing to this particular person. The question is whether it effectively communicates the brand strategy to the target audience. Modern identity design also needs to work at extreme scales. A logo must hold up on a billboard, but also read clearly as a tiny social media avatar. It needs to work in full color, single color, and reversed out of dark backgrounds. It needs to be recognizable whether it appears for a split second or sits in view for minutes. Thinking about these technical requirements early prevents frustration later. Nothing is worse than falling in love with a design that simply does not function in real-world applications. The final step in this phase is bringing the future to life through realistic mock-ups. Put the identity into actual scenarios so people can imagine how it will exist in the world. A delivery box with the new packaging, a mobile home screen with the app icon, a trade show booth, a business card in someone's hand. These visualizations transform abstract concepts into tangible realities. They build confidence and excitement. They help stakeholders see what they are approving, not just imagine it. When people can picture themselves living with the new identity, that is the signal that the design is ready to grow. Creating touchpoints is where the brand steps out of the studio and into everyday life. The foundations have been built, the strategy is clear, the core design elements are established. Now comes refinement and expansion. The identity must become a full system rather than a handful of well-designed assets. It needs to work across an entire organization in the hands of many different people over an extended period of time. This phase is practical and hands-on, but it still offers room for creativity. The first task is building a complete system. A good identity system behaves like a well-packed suitcase. Everything fits, everything has a place, nothing feels accidental or arbitrary. A charity might create rules for how photography should look in print, online, and at events. A tech startup might design a grid that keeps icons consistent across apps and marketing materials. A restaurant group might establish guidelines for signage, menus, uniforms, and interior design. These rules save time. They ensure consistency. They help new team members understand how the brand thinks and behaves. They make it possible for the brand to scale without losing its identity. Once the system feels solid, it is time to apply it to real objects. This is where the identity touches physical and digital reality. Loyalty cards, email templates, packaging, uniforms, signage, vehicle wraps, video intros, podcast artwork, conference banners. Even small items matter because they add up to a bigger impression. A yoga studio that uses the same calming palette on its mats, schedules, and welcome emails signals steadiness and attention to detail. A restaurant that carries its typography from menu to takeaway box signals care and professionalism. Inconsistency in small things creates doubt about big things. Consistency in small things builds trust that extends far beyond them. Legal trademarking also enters the picture during this phase. It may feel like dry administrative work, but it protects everything that has been created. A strong logo or name should be cleared before it appears publicly in the world. This prevents headaches down the road. Imagine building awareness for a name only to discover that another company has prior rights. Imagine having to change your identity after customers have already learned to recognize it. Trademark protection gives a team confidence that they can grow and invest without legal surprises undermining their work. With the core applications in place, the identity can stretch into new territory. This is the moment to extend the idea, to explore how the brand personality might express itself in unexpected contexts. If the brand stands for confidence, what does that look like in motion graphics? in the way a video opens and closes, in the animation style of a loading screen? If the brand stands for joy, how does that feeling show up at a pop-up event, in the design of a physical space, in the experience of unboxing a product? These explorations deepen the personality and make the brand feel alive. They also test the flexibility of the system. A good identity should be able to expand into new applications without losing its center. The final step in this phase is designing the key applications that matter most to the business. A gym might focus on its class booking app and its storefront signage. A skincare brand might prioritize its packaging and unboxing experience. A professional services firm might concentrate on its proposals and client portal. When these high-priority applications shine, customers feel the impact immediately. These are the touch points that carry the most weight. They deserve the most attention. By the end of this phase, the brand has a presence that people can see and touch and trust. It behaves consistently while still leaving room for surprise and delight. It becomes a companion in someone's day rather than an abstract concept. Managing brand assets is where identity stops being a project and becomes an ongoing practice. Everything created in the earlier phases must stay strong as more people use it in more places over more time. This requires systems, culture, and sustained attention. The first task is creating rules that everyone can follow. These rules are not meant to limit creativity. They are meant to protect clarity. Without them, drift is inevitable. Imagine a fast-growing cafe chain. Without clear guidance on color, tone, layout, and voice, each location might invent its own interpretation. The result is that customers lose the sense of a shared experience. The brand fragments, trust erodes. Good guidelines spell out what the brand stands for and how it should behave. They give teams confidence to create without drifting off course. They answer questions before people have to ask them. Next comes building brand champions throughout the organization. Employees are the front line of any brand. When they understand the mission, values, and goals, they start to act like ambassadors. They embody the brand in their interactions. They reinforce it without even trying. A front desk team that greets customers with the same warmth described in the brand values creates loyalty faster than any style guide could. A salesperson who truly believes in the purpose sells with authenticity that customers can feel. Leaders spark this feeling by sharing the story behind the brand, explaining why the identity matters, connecting daily work to larger meaning. People want to belong to something meaningful. Give them something worth believing in, and they will protect it. Tools also help preserve and protect the brand assets. This might be a digital hub where people can download logos, templates, and examples. It might include video tutorials or simple checklists. A small nonprofit could use a shared folder with ready-to-use presentations. A global company might need a full asset management platform. What matters is ease of use. If the tools are simple and accessible, people will use them. If they are complicated or buried, people will improvise. And improvisation leads to inconsistency. Before sharing a new or refreshed identity with the outside world, launch it internally first. Give your team a front-row seat. Show them the thinking behind the evolution. Explain how the identity supports the organization's direction and goals. People appreciate understanding why time and money were invested. They feel respected when they learn the rationale. They become advocates instead of skeptics. Start with leadership so they can model the change. Then bring in marketing and design to show how the teams will collaborate. Then extend to the broader organization. Internal launch is rehearsal for external launch. It reveals problems while there is still time to fix them. It builds momentum and excitement. It transforms change from something imposed into something shared. If you are a designer beginning your branding journey, here is some practical guidance. Breathe. Take your time. The temptation to jump into visual work immediately is strong. Resist it. Talk about ideas and purpose before talking about layout or typography. Listen deeply to what clients and stakeholders actually need, not just what they say they want. Give them a clear roadmap so they feel safe in the process. Hold on to your enthusiasm. Passion fuels trust, and trust turns clients into true partners. The best branding relationships are collaborative, not transactional. Both sides learn, both sides contribute, both sides feel ownership of the outcome. Here is what all of this comes down to. Research uncovers truth. It reveals what a brand actually is and what it means to the people who encounter it. Strategy creates focus. It forces choices about who the brand is for and what it promises. It turns possibility into direction. Design gives shape. It translates abstract strategy into visual and verbal identity. It makes the invisible visible. Touchpoints bring the brand into daily life. They extend the identity across every moment where the brand meets its audience. They create consistency and build trust. Ongoing management protects what has been built. It ensures the brand stays strong as it grows and evolves. It transforms identity from a project into a practice. When each phase works together, a brand becomes more than a logo. It becomes a shared promise, something people can believe in, something they can recognize instantly and trust completely, something that makes the choice easy when they are standing in that supermarket aisle, overwhelmed by options. That is the goal, not just to look good, not just to be noticed, to be chosen again and again without hesitation. That is what great branding actually accomplishes, and now you understand how it is built.